I know this sounds crazy, but a lot of vets don't even know that with a little bit of blood, you can actually save newborn puppies' lives and actually give them a better start at life. You're not going to want to miss this. We're talking about puppy plasma therapy. Stay tuned. What's going on, Bully fam? It's your boy, the educator, the scientist, Mr. Double Muscle Line Bulls, bringing you another episode of Breeders Hacks. So today we're going to be talking about puppy plasma therapy. This is something that a lot of vets don't even know about, and it's such a game changer because it increases your chances of puppies surviving. The mortality rate goes down, things like that. Every breeder, in my opinion, should work towards being able to do and understand and being able to implement when it comes time to having puppies, right? So to give you guys some background information on how I learned about the puppy plasma therapy and why it's so important and why you need to implement it into your program. One day my mentor tells me that, hey, look into puppy plasma. It was something that I was always looking into, but I never got around to doing. So I was like, what do you mean, like puppy plasma therapy? Basically, he was saying something along the lines that it's something that he was looking into that is super helpful, super beneficial to the puppies, will decrease your mortality rates, things like that. So I was like, really? Like, so you think it's that important? And he was like, 1000%. So I started doing my research and I started learning that certain vets, certain reproductive specialists, if you go to the information center of Breeders Hacks, you'll see actually some of the reproductive specialists that I've referenced as far as their articles and information and studies that they found. I researched these studies and I find it to be extremely interesting. So I still kind of put it on the shelf, I put it on the back burner. So what winds up happening is we get some puppies and they're just really super weak. And I know now it was because we did a C-section a little too early because we didn't do a reverse progesterone. At the time, I didn't know about reverse progesterone. The puppies are weak. I feel like they're getting close that we may even lose them. We need to do something. And everything we were doing was not working. Well, after the research that I did looking into the puppy plasma therapy, that's exactly what we did. And it snapped the puppies right around. Within a few hours, I would say 6 to 12 hours, we saw a significant difference. And then by 24 to 48 hours, I mean, the puppies were lively and aggressive, and this was our first experience dealing with this, and we said, wow, we are onto something. This is phenomenal and everybody needs to know about this. Anyway, what I'm just getting at is it worked super successfully for us, and it took puppies that were on death's door and made them more vibrant and more lively than even regular puppies that I had that were perfectly healthy. I mean, these puppies were above and beyond. They were operating at like 110%. Quoting the reproductive specialists, the vets, and they say this is a cure for fading puppy syndrome. I believe fading puppy syndrome is because of the fact that puppies are being, you're doing C-sections way too early, but regardless of the fact, that's what they're saying. And I can definitely say from my own experience, it makes a humongous difference, and we do it for every litter now. You need to be able to draw blood, right? So when you're drawing blood, and I'm sorry guys, please don't mind the mess. My wife and I have been going crazy dealing with you guys' orders on BreedersHacks.com, so just bear with me. But anyway, you need to be able to know how to draw blood, right? So we got videos on Breeders Hacks on how to draw blood. So the first thing that we do is we draw blood. Then we go ahead and we put it in a centrifuge tube. It's gonna look something like this, right? So you're gonna have the blood in here, and we have about a cc in here, and you're gonna go ahead and put it in your centrifuge, and you're gonna go ahead and spin it down, right? You're gonna spin it down for a few minutes, whatever the case it may be. Once it's spun, you're going to have a separation like this. And the separation is the plasma on top and the red blood cells at the bottom. The plasma that's on the top is what we're going to go ahead and take and put it, depending on if you have puppies or not, right? Depending on if you have a litter actively or not, you're gonna go ahead and take that plasma and you're going to, based off of however many mLs of blood that you got, however much plasma you were able to harvest from that blood, And just be mindful, guys, that you don't want to draw more than 5 mLs or 5 cc's of blood per pound of body weight on your female dogs. And I suggest doing this before the puppies are born, having the plasma, having the blood ready, because when she has the puppy, she's going to be losing a lot of blood. So I highly recommend to do this before the puppies are born, and I'm going to show you how to store it and have everything prepped and have everything ready. So, like I said, your female's pregnant, and now what we do is we want to make sure that we have plasma. We have plasma ready for when the puppies are going to be here. So we drew our blood, and typically what I'll do is usually when we're doing our progesterone testing, trying to time when we're going to do our breeding, as well as when we're trying to time when we're doing our reverse progesterone when the puppies are going to be born. So those are the times that we'll be drawing blood, as well as I may draw blood periodically, throughout the pregnancy, but not taking too much, and definitely not exceeding that 5 ml or that 5 cc per pound of body weight within a 24 to 48 hour period. So anyway, guys, once we spun the blood down, once we got the plasma, you're gonna have something that looks like the centrifuge that I showed you, and you're gonna take that plasma, you're gonna draw it out with a syringe. Now take out the plasma and put it in a different centrifuge tube. Then you store it in the fridge. Well, freezer to be exact. You're gonna throw it in the freezer, and actually it's good for up to 4 to 5 years.
What did you say? What did you say?
It's good for up to 4 to 5 years. So even if your female winds up not having puppies, it's still gonna last for 4 to 5 years, and you can wind up using it when she does eventually have a litter of puppies. So the key thing to be mindful of, though, is with the plasma, it's important that your females are healthy, that they're getting their shots and things like that, because that's going to play a big role in having the proper antibodies in the plasma to give to the puppies. So let me show you guys real quick what this looks like. So I have a little cup in here, and this is my frozen plasma. This plasma is probably 2 or 3 years old, right? So as you can see, I'll just store it in these little centrifuge tubes like this. I have a few of them. So I'll go ahead and put it in the fridge, and it's good for 4 to 5 years. So how much puppy plasma do you give, and when do you give it, right? So when your puppies are born, right, the first 48 hours is when you can give the puppy plasma orally. Because I have it in the smaller centrifuge tubes, it actually works out pretty well, because when it comes time that the puppies are born, what I do is I'll start moving some of them into the refrigerator so they slowly start to thaw out, and then I'll even have some sitting out and let those thaw out, and then warm them up and get them closer to body temperature so that we can give it to the puppies orally. And the reason why that window is also so important is because of a few things. So the first thing is that the plasma is going to be able to bypass the liver. Once that 48-hour kind of window passes, the liver and kidneys will break it down, and they won't be able to properly absorb the nutrient, the antibodies inside the plasma. So with that being said, you want to make sure that if you're going to give it to them orally, it has to be in the first 48 hours. After that, based off of what the vets recommend, you're going to want to do it like intravenous or something like that. And at that point, unless you're very advanced and can give intravenous on young, very small newborn puppies, you're better off just making sure, especially if you're doing it as a preventative, giving it to them in the first 24 to 48 hours. Some people will say, well, don't they get the antibodies in the first 24 to 48 hours from the colostrum? And I would say yes, but based off of what some of the vets over at the University of Pennsylvania had said, is basically that they looked at the colostrum that was absorbed from some puppies, and especially female dogs that had C-sections. And it makes sense, because what happens is if a dog is having a C-section, it usually takes time for their milk to let down. So the puppies in the first 24 to 48 hours may not be really getting all that much milk or all that much colostrum, especially if she's not producing much, or because she had a C-section, or the list could go on. So when they did the study and looked at, and I believe it was on cats, but it's still very similar. When they did the comparison to see how many of the kittens actually got the proper amounts of colostrum, it was all over the place. Some got a lot, some got a little. There was no consistency. So this ensures that every puppy is getting the appropriate amount of antibodies, as much as we can give them. So the max that you can give them within a 24-hour period is about 3 cc's per pound of body weight. So that's just something to be mindful of. But what we do is in between feedings, we just hit them with a few drops. Everybody's getting drops. Everybody's getting an eyedropper amount. I would say no more than about half of a cc. And everybody's just getting their eyedropper amount. So, we just give it to them ever so slowly. You could also tube feed it as well. That works as well. Like I said, in the first 24 to 48 hours, I know, for example, when my wife had my son, she had an issue with producing enough milk because she had a C-section, and they said that was common. So why wouldn't the same thing apply when it comes to dogs? So that's a strong possibility that the dog is not producing enough colostrum, or based off of how the puppies are, some are getting heavy amounts of colostrum, some aren't. So why not give them plasma, which will ensure that basically what the plasma has inside of it is the antibodies from the mother, or it can be from another dog. There are some places that actually donate plasma. They have nice healthy dogs that are properly vaccinated with all the antibodies needed, so that then they can ship it out and help people and help puppies that may be in danger because they don't have the proper antibodies, or maybe even orphaned puppies that don't have a mother. So now there's no way that they're going to get any form of colostrum. So with using this therapy, I don't really use the colostrum paste that they sell, that a lot of these companies have made, that it's supposed to be like a colostrum for puppies, because I have straight plasma right from the mother that I can use, and it's free. I'm going to be doing a lot more research into the colostrum paste and see if it's even worth it, especially if you're going to be already doing plasma therapy. So like I said, 24 to 48 hours is when you want to give it, in that window. And then if you're dealing with troubled puppies, that's a whole other thing that, yet again, you can do even when the puppies are older. You can go ahead and give it to them. Yet again, it wouldn't be through the mouth, it wouldn't be orally. You'd have to do it intravenously or something like that. So based off of our results, we do this with every litter now, and I'll tell you guys what, because of the plasma giving them the antibodies that they need to be able to be more resilient and fight off certain sicknesses and disease and things like that, we found that the litters of puppies, when giving it to them orally for the first 24 to 48 hours, they have been super energetic, super aggressive, latching onto the mothers, us having to do very minimal work, making sure they're pooping perfectly fine, they're urinating perfectly fine. Puppies are just aggressive, are full of energy, and is exactly what you want. You're not waiting on colostrum or milk letdown or anything like that. Right out the gate, you're giving them the proper antibodies they need to have a better success rate when it comes to life. So I know a lot of vets have been recommending, well, at least the vets that know about it, which isn't a lot, but they recommend this for fading puppy syndrome. So when puppies are, you're losing them or whatever the case may be, one of the vets that I reference is actually even saying that they've used it for parvo, and it's helped with the puppies with parvo getting these antibodies. So this is definitely something I want you guys to check out. Definitely do your research on this. If you want to learn more, you could go to the information center on breedershacks.com, and I have an article there which also references all the vets gotten this information from, and I've read in their sources and things like that. So puppy plasma therapy is an amazing thing. I recommend everybody do it. And like I said, hey, you could get it for free. So if you don't know how to draw blood, even when you're doing your progesterone testing, which everyone if you watch this channel, everyone should be doing progesterone testing at this point. If you don't know, make sure to refer to one of our older videos on progesterone testing. But anyway, if you have someone who's doing progesterone testing for you, go ahead and ask them to draw some more extra blood and be able to spin it down and give you the plasma so that you can go ahead and throw it in the freezer. What we sometimes do is, if we're doing a progesterone for somebody, it's a great way, and maybe you do progesterones in your city, it's a great way to upsell as well. And you can tell them, hey, listen, every time we draw the blood, I can separate the plasma for you, store it in the freezer, and give it to you once we're done with all our progesterone testing. So that then now, obviously you charge a fee for that, but now someone has pure plasma that they can go ahead and give to their puppies when the puppies are born, or yet again, save it in their freezer for when the female does come into heat again and hopefully has puppies. A better fight, a better chance when it comes to living and survival, a lower mortality rate, just some overall healthier puppies. So hey, if this episode even saved one litter's life, it was well worth it. So I hope this information was helpful. Hope it was useful. I'll see you guys on the next episode of Breeders' Hacks.